hello there. So I wanted to start a new series where I'd kind of collect a bunch of art that I'd bought or been sent and just make a video reviewing it for you. I was sent these products the other day by a company. It's a 21-piece set of markers that can also be used on fabric and a 24-piece acrylic paint set. The company wanted to sponsor me and review their products, which I thought was a great start, great start to this new series. That's brilliant. And then I realised that I am terrible at reviewing stuff. For example, there is a lot of this. It has a much richer pigmentation than I thought it would. This, yeah, see already I'm just really impressed with the pigmentation of this. And this, like it says, there's quite a rich pigmentation, and the thickness and consistency is actually quite nice to use. It's pretty clear to say that I was super impressed with the pigmentation of the paint. I actually have a lot of Liquitex paints, and something I've noticed about their blue colours is that they're kind of a bit transparent and they're not very pigmented. This I'm not having that issue with, so that is a very good thing. This is actually very true because I was very impressed that the blues were so pigmented. Again, the Liquitex paint that I use, a couple of the blue colours are kind of like, they need a couple of layers, 2 to 3 layers, to make it look any half decent. The only colours that I felt weren't as pigmented was like one of the purple colours and one of the green colours. I'm also curious to see how this dries because I hate paint that kind of dries glossy. Like there's some black paint that dries kind of glossy when the rest of the paint doesn't, and it's just horrible. Update on that, it did kind of dry semi-glossy, which is not too bad. It's when it's super shiny that it kind of bothers me, but the finish is kind of like semi-gloss. It's nice. You can kind of take a photo of it at a certain angle and not have it all shiny and reflecting light, so that's important. The only thing I'm thinking at the moment is just that because it is more thick consistency, I tend to be using a little bit more. This can often be the case with more affordable paint. More expensive paint in general, you can, use a little amount and it goes a long way. But let's face it, who actually wants to spend $50 on a tube of paint unless you're going to be featuring it in a gallery, or you're selling it to a millionaire, or you're Leonardo da Vinci? There's not really much need for it if you're a hobbyist like me. The only thing I'm going to say is I'm kind of confused because some of these tubes are white, but it represents a blue colour, but it's actually kind of purple. I'm still actually kind of confused at this, and when I said white tube, I didn't mean white tube. The labels here tend to sort of display the colour that's inside the tube, but it's very difficult because, for example, these 4 colours here are different, but you can't really tell. In a way, I kind of commend the brand for doing this because really, if you think about it, they're actually forcing people to read instead of be lazy and just look at the colour of the tube. I then decided I was going to go back and swatch all of the colours just so you can see them all properly. And they're very, very vibrant. I do like that about the colours. There's a nice variety of them. But as you can see, I put white paint over the black paint and I put black paint on white paper, so you can kind of see how the pigmentation is for both of those colours because you tend to use more white and black than any other colour. I then finished off the painting while watching Supernatural. But yeah, overall, I was very impressed with these paints. I like the amount of colours they provide you. I kind of always recommend getting small sets of paint because you kind of aren't spending a huge amount of money on a bunch of big tubes of paint. So yeah, I would recommend this. You get 24 colours, they're 12 millilitres each if that means anything to you, and they do the job nicely. Then I wanted to try the markers, and I was very excited about this because I love trying markers of any kind. I did actually use the markers on the previous painting to kind of outline the character and just sort of enhance the features a little bit. And I was very, very impressed at how well and how deep the colours were over the acrylic paint. What I particularly love about these markers is that one end has a fine point tip and the other end has a nice chisel tip, kind of like the Copic markers do. You can use them on paper, plastic, wood and fabric apparently, but I don't have any plastic or wood, so I just did it on fabric and paper instead. So I got this canvas tote bag. I bought it on Amazon and got it sent to me so that I could try out all of these markers here because they're fabric markers, and I thought it'd be more fun instead of trying it on paper to try it on fabric because that's one of their main purposes, even though you can use it on paper too. And I'm going to do something, I'm going to do a little pattern on here, and I want you to tell me if you recognise the pattern. If you don't, then check out the description and I'll tell you there. It's not really bleeding too much, which I thought that it would. And these are all the colours down on paper. I realised at the time that I hadn't really used a huge variety of colours on my tote bag, so I kind of just wanted to swatch them all on paper to see how they looked and how they kind of reacted on paper as well. Apparently you can also wash the fabric or t-shirt, whatever you're drawing on, with cold water, and I'm going to test this theory. I'm a bit nervous, but I'm going to test to see how it kind of works. I am a little bit nervous because I'm concerned it's going to make it all kind of run, but you know, maybe it'll be okay. So fingers crossed it doesn't destroy this. I say to use cold water. Well, you know what? It's actually not run. I'm viciously rubbing this now while wet, and it's not actually done anything. So I'm very happy. So yeah, overall I was again very impressed with these markers. They reminded me a lot of like Winsor & Newton Pro markers because they have kind of like the chisel end and the small fine tip end, which the Pro markers have. And they didn't bleed as much as I thought they would, although they kind of, you know, did a little bit, they kind of bled a little bit. But I think that's pretty standard when it comes to drawing on fabric. They didn't bleed whatsoever on the canvas though, and that's probably the most important thing. They worked so well over acrylic paint. I find sometimes markers are very difficult to get working over paint if you're trying to kind of like neaten it up or add features. Sometimes markers don't work all that great, or they kind of sort of almost try to dry out over the acrylic paint, but these markers worked really, really well. They were very, very inky. That's not the right word, but you know what I mean. I also forgot to mention that it has this nifty little case to keep them all in. It comes with it, and it's just great for travelling, you know? Travelling is good. The only thing I am slightly unsure on is the numbering system on the markers. I think it might be like a novelty thing, because obviously Copics have like a proper numbering system. These just have random numbers on them, which I kind of think is quite cool because it makes it more unique and different. But again, for a starter set of markers, or if you just need to make t-shirts for something, or you want to make your own tote like I did, these are really good markers. I'm definitely going to be using these going forward because I was very impressed that, especially because I obviously used quite a lot of the black ink, it didn't dry out at all, and I thought it was going to because the fabric was really soaking up the ink, and it didn't. So I was very impressed. So there we have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any suggestions of art products or art related things you'd like to see me try, definitely leave a comment down below and I'll have a look into them. So thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video.